are live, ladies and gentlemen. What it do, what it is, what's happening, what the business be, what up, though? It's your guy, Nate Bennett, here with another extraordinary episode of the Extraordinary Exchange podcast. Y'all know the deal. We are sponsored by the Extraordinary Investment Group. We're 12 black men in the community, committed to empower the communities that we serve through education and smart financial strategies. Got my guy, my brother, my ace, Ben's in the building. What's good?
I'm doing good, bro. I think the last time I recorded, I was upset because my Ravens was off to a slow start, but now we back top of first place, so we good money. I'm good over there.
Yeah.
I think we lost Bennett. He froze up on us.
No, I heard you.
There you go.
The Ravens, that's great, man. That's a big team.
Yeah, hey, like I said, last time I recorded, I was upset because we're losing. Didn't know what was going on, but now we back. We back top of first place, going in the right direction.
Well, I'll just chime in and say I'm not a Commanders fan.
Okay.
But I'm a Ravens fan when they're not playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. So how about that?
Ouch.
Old school, bro. Hey,
Oh,
man.
hey, I'll take that.
You can't hold it against me, man. They was the team back in the day. This is not the '80s, though. I understand that. I understand. New dynasties have arisen.
Hey, I do know a lot of quality people who are old school Iron Curtain fans. So hey, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight we got an extraordinary guest, another phenomenal brother. I got the pleasure of meeting again a few months ago, courtesy of previous episode. Shout out to Paul the Connector, always connecting folks. But this brother is the founder of Sam Partman Speaks, professional development and empowerment platform, helping individuals and organizations build leadership, purpose, and generational wealth. So that's very much aligned with what we do over here at E.I.G. He has over 25 years of experience in real estate, business strategy, community leadership, and just overall empowerment in the community. This brother's mission is to inspire people to turn vision into value and success into legacy. Welcome to man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sam Partman. What's going on with you, Sam?
Thank you, Nate. Thanks again. As Nate mentioned, I had a great opportunity to meet him through Paul the Connector at a major event. I think it was Paul's birthday and a couple other guys. And this brother Nate was outside having some conversations. And I got to tell the story, Nate. It's so Paul had just mentioned you, which was kind of ironic. So I'm walking him out. He's meeting a client. And young brother, Nate was speaking to Paul, and then he asked about who I was, and he asked about what I had on. I had a custom suit on, right? And I told that brother Nate, I said, "But I'll get you linked up. No worries." Did not know that you were who you are, and that you had an extraordinary platform, an extraordinary individual, and it was really good to meet you. And I number one appreciate the compliment. When you step out, no matter what you're doing, you want to lead with example, right? And so I'm hanging out with Paul and some of the other major people, and I just wanted to make sure that I was in alignment with them. So just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you being a man of your word, allow me the opportunity to collaborate with you guys. Heard so many great things about you that night, and man, look just how God works. On the way out, I get to meet the man, the myth, the legend, and really get to collaborate with you guys. So thanks again, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure was all mine. Like you said, my man was suited and booted. I seen you a few times in the event and didn't get to chop it up with you. And then on the way out, I had to get that brother's props because he was killing it out there, brother.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, man, just give I gave you a brief bio and told everybody who you were and what you did. But in your own words, kind of tell everybody, what it is that you do and how you got into doing that.
All right. Well, I'll start at how I got into doing it. The interesting thing was I was thinking just a couple of days ago. When I was younger, I had three brothers at the time. I have one now. And so they would always say that I was going to be the supervisor of the boss. They still call me the supervisor of the boss, right? And it wasn't that I don't believe in working. I just believed in working smart. And there was an old story they used to tell me that when we would hang out in the country during the summers with our grandmothers and stuff like that, that we'd go pick either fruit or we'd go pick something and it would be on the ground. We're little kids. And my brothers would say I would point to it and have them pick it up and put it in my basket, right? So I already was an intentional leader. And to this day, if we do a project, I'm the strategist on the project. Now I could pick up a hammer and a nail, and I have those skills, but I realized as I got older, became a parent, became a coach, that just because you know how to do it doesn't mean that that's your gift. Your gift is to teach other people how to do it. I never took the label of being a supervisor, but as I've gotten older, I've matured into it. I've allowed God's gift to, how can I say, to pay more attention to the gift and try and fine tune it. And I've gotten some practice. I have two sons. I have a grandson now, so got a lot of practice. Got a lot of practice being their coaches and other children, and I've just elevated into what I do. So I believe that we are born with gifts, but we have to be intentional on how we use them. And so like for my platform, yeah, there's some born leaders that never really like rise to the surface, and that's because they don't know that they have their gift. And then there are other people that I call unintentional leaders. They are sometimes thrust into a situation, and they're not prepared for it. So I deal with both of those type of people, and I can quickly identify if they're intentional or an unintentional leader. But I believe that we all have the ability to be amazing leaders and to be an example for the rest of society.
Now, with those two types of people, do you train them differently? Do you work with them differently? Somebody who's a natural born leader, or
Absolutely,
is
absolutely.
it
So
different
now,
ways you bring that out of them? Let's talk about that difference for me,
yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll give you an example of an unintentional leader. So I don't know if you guys have ever played football or been on the sport. Let's just say you're on the football team and you're second or third string quarterback. And so, you know that number one quarterback is probably going to get all the reps. He's always going to be the coach's favorite. He's probably going to lead the team, whether it's high school or college. And you don't really ever think you're going to ever get into the game. So you don't really prepare to be the leader or the quarterback of the game. And then all of a sudden, you're in there, and that moment strikes you. So I try to reach people that way and just say, let's just say this ain't football. Let's just say when you get opportunity to become a husband, to lead your family, right? To become a father, lead your father. Maybe you're involved in the church. Maybe you become a minister. Maybe they make you a deacon. So always practice like you are the leader, right? Whether you are in that leadership role in that particular instance, there's going to come a time in your life when you're going to have to step up and be a leader. Okay? Now, the other one is somebody that you see has amazing gifts, right? Let's use the same example with the quarterback. Can throw the ball, can run the ball. You're Lamar Jackson all the way. I take those people and I fine tune that and help them get a better message. They already have the following because of their athletic ability or what they could do on the field. But how do you get them to inspire someone when they're not on the field? And that is not a challenge. It's something that can be done. I have to obviously talk to them and train them differently because they already have the following. So how do you continue to keep those people following you? Number one. And number two, be purposeful in your following. Be an amazing leader, right? Don't lead people in the wrong direction. Know that this is a gift that God gave you. He can take it away from you, right? So I really hone in and just say, hey, you already got these people following you. Be a great leader and continue to pour something into them. So when they uh, leave your presence or you leave, you've left something with them. More importantly, so two different people. Absolutely.
I always look at that as you said you got two sons. I got two daughters. Benz has two kids,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't well, some people have favorites, right? You love your kids equally, but depending on their personality and how they came into this world, you
Mm-hmm.
have to raise them differently, mentor them differently. Same thing as a coach. Ben's coaches
Yeah.
basketball,
Mm-hmm.
football. I coach basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You appreciate your players the same. You don't give favoritism,
Correct.
but depending on, you know, your maturation process, what you learn throughout life. I'm prior military, used to
Mm-hmm.
dealing with different personalities. You treat everyone fair, but you don't treat them the same, right? and
That's
and based on how they are as a leader, what traits that they have. Some people are just natural followers, and that's cool. You put them in position to follow those natural born leaders. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, when people talk about that, it always reminds me of like parenting. I treat my daughters differently just because of their personalities,
Mm-hmm.
but I love them both the same, even though one of them's not biologically mine. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have had the same conversation. My sons are totally different. One is really much more like me, and then the other one is at the totally different spectrum. And they're 9 years apart. So when they were growing up, the oldest one would always remind me that I treat his brother different. I said, we all are two different people, two different personalities. My oldest son is an Aquarius. I don't know if that means anything. He's like his dad. He has a lot of my traits. So I'm able to identify with him and know what some of those things are. Now with his brother, who's different, 9 years apart, but even more importantly, just like you say with your daughters, you have to meet people where they are. That's one of my favorite saying. Meet people where they are and help them get to where they're going, right? Put yourself on the other side. Yes, so you may be a rah 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 type of leader, and there's some like in the NFL, college, whatever. Then you have those other quiet leaders and some players that I could probably name that were so amazing. They didn't have to say anything. They showed up on the field. They showed up prepared, and when they went to the locker room, people understood what leadership looked like. And so, yeah, that's just very important that as people that we look at people where they are, we help them get to where they're going because everyone doesn't want to naturally be a leader. But I get them prepared. If that ever happens, they're prepared to take that role, if only temporary.
Talking about quarterback, Jameis Winston, Eli Manning. Jameis is that rah rah type
Yeah.
of dude.
Hmm.
Eli was more that quiet guy. You know what I'm saying? They both had their own individual traits that they brought to the table. So,
And they both were amazing players as well as leaders in the locker room because people wanted to play for them. So that's an amazing example, and I also, when I talk about leadership, I usually start with personal development, right? And the reason I do that is because if you don't know who you are, they'll never know who you are. If you don't know where you're going, they're not going to follow you, right? And so it's very important. I don't care what level you are as a leader. I always try to identify who they are, and I ask them, so truly, who are you, right? You can't make anyone follow you. You have to be true to who you are. But I believe that we have some tendencies that make people not want to follow us. And I don't know if we understand that until it happens to us, right? And you're searching around to find out, well, none of my employees want to come to work, or I'll just use an example. I won't give any clients' names out, but I said, well, have you really looked at being in their shoes and maybe how they're perceiving it? I mean, they know that you're the manager or you're the VP. I say, but people aren't impressed by titles. They're impressed by people and who they are. And I said, I'm not trying to change who you are as you are who you are, but be more aware of who they are. How about put yourself on the other side for a moment? Let's start there. There's two sides of it. I have to sometimes make an executive decision as to what type of conversations we need to have. But more than likely it boils down to let's just all understand and have some great personal skills, people skills. Yeah.
it's one of my favorite conversations right here. I've read so many like personal development and leadership specifically books. And this is the question I ask all leaders. What's the most important leadership trait that your mentor taught you?
Mm-hmm.
That's not on our list of questions, but that's my question I've asked every good leader I've ever come across. What's the one thing that your mentor shared with you about leadership that you still hold to this day?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you have to be a player coach. Being a leadership coach. People always ask me. I can take criticism. I can be led by others. I can look at myself circumspectly in the mirror and say, Sam, you have to do better. I'm constantly talking to myself. And I'll just have that one-on-one to say, what could I have done differently? How can I do it differently? Why didn't I do it differently? And you're going to do it differently, right? So like when I show up, I'm showing up like I want my students to show up. I want to show up like I want my client to show up. I'm showing up like I want my two sons to show up and my grandson who was only 2.5. But I will tell you, 2.5, he's a lot further ahead than both my sons were. And I give that to my oldest son because he took those skills and he's younger like you guys and he refined them. And I might have told you that one day, Nate, and I was impressed because I don't have to do any heavy lifting with him, you know. I'm grateful, you know what I mean, that has transcended into him and my son, my grandson, and then I just pray when I talk to the younger kids that if I could just leave you one thing, can you do me a favor and share it with someone else? So it goes right back to what you said. What whether you want to call me your mentor, your coach, or Coach Sam, I want you to take something away, apply it, and then help someone else apply something. So
You talked about as a leader, you're able to go back and analyze yourself.
absolutely,
Um, look at the game tape. We'll call it with the sports
sure,
references.
sure.
What are some things that leaders commonly do that they need to correct themselves for, or need to go back and say, did I do this correctly, and how can I improve moving forward?
hmm I would say one thing is we think that all people are alike. That we think that they get it because we get it, right?
Mm.
Like, for example, I go back to the children. You think that they're just 100% carbon copies of you, and they're not. Even twins are different in some ways. And so, as a leader, you have to be aware that because you see it a certain way, they will not. Remember now, you didn't always probably see it that way, right? You didn't. You didn't see it that way until you intentionally decided to see it. And so for me, that's really one thing is don't go into the room making any assumptions about anyone. Even if they took, I gave them a quiz or some type of test, there are so many other variables, where they grew up, maybe what their faith is, what their life experiences are, how old they are. And so you have to, as a leader, just be aware that your job is to be a great listener. Great leaders are great listeners. And once you listen, once they raise their hand, if you listen correctly, then you can find an answer and solution for them. And then the other thing is don't ever think because you're a leader that you got your stuff together. Because you don't. You're still a human being. I always, as I said earlier, I will always go back, review a tape, review something. And how do I know? And I'm very hard on myself. I have my consigliaries or my friends, saying that's the old Italian term, that have been given permission to give it to me, not like you, my friend, but give it to me the way that you really saw it. You understand what I'm saying? And I keep those people around me, several of them, and I just sit back and I listen and I analyze. I trust their judgment, right? They are your friends, but they're not your friends when you ask them to do something like look at you. That you want them to give you the hard lessons or give you the hard love, just like we give our children. And so that keeps me grounded whenever I feel like I'm not where I need to be or I'm having that moment. I think you sometimes will know that there's something in you that says something doesn't feel right. And the last and the most important person is my mom. My mom is 83 years old. I just called my mother a couple of days ago to get her opinion on something. And she listened, she analyzed, she said, well, Sammy, here's what I would do. And I took that and I listened and I said, I was kind of right there where you are, mom. I said, but you reaffirmed it for me, you know. So if you don't have a mom, you don't have a dad, you don't have find someone in your circle that loves you enough to be honest with you, and know that you're trying to be better so you can be better for other people.
And I think one of the critical pieces that you point out that I like to always incorporate is you can't have a room full of yes men around you. You got to have people around that's going to let you know when you're doing something wrong and be willing to accept that criticism and critique. Because if not, then and I feel like the further up you go in that leadership scale, the easier it is to have people that just want to naturally appease you around you. So you
Absolutely.
almost have to forcefully um, have those people in there who you know are going to give you a little pushback, a little feedback, even though you don't need it.
Yeah, it's you're 100% right. They're athletes, right? Like we were talking about sports because obviously we're all sports fanatics. And I've often said, your boys or the people that you grow up with are some of the worst people that don't help you grow. Um, and it's not because necessarily they're chasing after the money. They know you from who you were before, but they're not able to adjust to where you're going, and you can't help them. And so it is a very critical piece to be able to say, athletes are very busy, but I always just say, hey, you want to be a good friend? Be honest with them, help them grow, right? Like they already love you, they already trust you, and no one else is going to give that to them because no one they don't have that investment with each other, right? The fans, the people that's watching, all they want to do is see them play, succeed. They're not going to tell them when they're doing wrong. And so, yeah, you have to be careful the people you surround yourself with. And I'm not afraid to surround myself because I want to be better, right? I don't want to be famous and be hated or be infamous or none of that. I just want to be the best person that I can be. And I can't do it alone. And I am aware of that. And so, yeah, those high profile people that we speak to and they pay me to come and talk to them, I'm not their friend. I'm not there to be their friend. I'm there to help them have more friends, to give them the real raw take on what it looks like on to be on the other side and what I see. And so yeah, they have to be willing to accept it and willing to be critical themselves. But once your organization starts to dissolve, I think some of the light bulbs and bells will start ringing, and I think that you'll always look at it. It starts at the top, right? Like they say.
Everything rises and falls on leadership, 100%.
Yeah. So you have to now
Yeah,
look at yourself in the mirror. Yeah.
yeah. Speaking to some of these high profile people that bring you in to do speaking, you do speaking engagements, you have these programs, you have these trainings that you offer the community. Talk about, some of those programs, if you will, toot your own horn. And then of those programs, what are the programs that you see now in
Mhm.
2025 that are being requested more frequently than others?
Well, I guess I'll kind of start with well, my favorites is really dealing with the youth. I believe that we're in a generation where, there's so many distractions for children. Even when my kids were growing up, I mean, we started Xbox and Wii, and I'm probably missing some, right? And it's even gotten even more people, kids get a phone early and all like that. So I'll just kind of start with there. What I really want kids to do more, and where my passion is get them to just communicate one on one. No text messaging, no signal, no what else they got? WhatsApp. Uh,
Mhm.
just sit down and be in a room and articulate what you feel. Now, some of the challenge with that is because they haven't been speaking correct English. They're using phrases that you would use in text messages, this and that. And so I often find myself just saying, can we use a different word for that? I said, because I don't even know that acronym, right? And so I just want them to get back to it now. Technology is not going anywhere, right? It's just going to evolve. But there is nothing like human communication. Yeah, I'm old and I'm old school, but I ain't that old, right? I still know how to use technology, but I know it's only going to take you so far. There's just going to be so many misconceptions, the lack of communication, and so for me that's important. So yeah, I put together programs for children first of all, just to make themselves more aware and become a better person, right? And then yeah, we may tap into some leadership skills. As we said earlier, you can't push a child into something that they're not ready for. I'll prepare and I'll plant some seeds. And so if that opportunity ever happens, they'll be able to pull from that vault and say, okay, well, I've seen this before. Coach Sam, or I've heard some other leaders say this. Now they're not so nervous. And then the other kids that are just strictly looking to say, no, no, I want to be the quarterback. I want to be the pitch hitter, whatever. Those are the kids that, you pour a little something different into. You give them a different lesson plan. You give them encouragement. You're always planting the seeds for the other children, but we all grow differently, right? And at different places. And so I do a signature series for the schools. I also by nature, I'm a humanitarian. I mean, a humanitarian. I love people. I love seeing people succeed. And so, the nonprofits are very big on my plate. I generally like to start with those individuals in the nonprofit, but it generally usually trickles down to their staff, right? How they're having an effect on the community, whether it's the children, whether it's the elderly, whether it's uh, somebody that's socially disadvantaged, how are they being the employees monitoring their health meter, their emotional healing? Because you deal with people with things, you could sometimes take that home or bring that to the job. And so I'm always tasked with just, being an outsider looking in, being able to kind of diagnose it. I'm not a doctor, I don't even play on TV, but I can tell that there is something missing where they can't effectively do their job. So that's a passion of mine. And of course, corporate pays the bills, right? To allow me, and I still enjoy that. When you work with corporations, there are people that are just regular people that may be their job, but then they go home to their wives, their kids, the community. And so anything that you can share with them on the job, you hope that they take that with them to um, to the community. And so, but I'll put different signature series together, just kind of based on the needs, do a needs assessment, But I do have my favorites that just kind of resonate with my heart. Yeah.
So outside of the youth and outside of people with organizations, if you're just a individual who wanted some services, who wanted to improve their leadership, how would they work with you?
Okay. So it's interesting you would ask that because when I first initially started, my first go-to was group coaching. So I come from the real estate background, as I mentioned. I was a real estate coach, was a team owner, did all of that, and so I was always used to doing one-on-ones with people, and so they were really like my first audience. So I would have an agent come to me that knew how to write a contract, knew how to, look at the MLS, knew some of what I call the basic fundamental things in real estate. But you know what they didn't have? They didn't have people skills. They didn't have
Mm.
negotiation skills. They didn't have good listening skills. They didn't know how to talk to the person on the other side of the phone from agent to agent. And so, interesting, Ben, I found myself sometimes taking a student and say, hold on, let's not even talk about the transaction. Let's just talk about how developing you, whether you did this for the rest of your life or not, let's get you some good people skills. Let's get you some good communication skills. And so, in a 45-minute session, I might every time 15 minutes before, let's just work on some personal development skills, right? They weren't really coming to me for that, but I saw the need because I could not take the conversation to the next level when we're spending the whole transaction or the time talking about a transaction that is never going to get done because of this other thing that they needed to have. So, um, do I enjoy doing one-on-one? I know that wasn't the question. It's more need based. It's more exhausting for me.
I got you.
But I'll be honest, there have been opportunities where I've done group and someone will say, well, can you help me on this? I'm struggling with this. Or a manager will say, we have two managers that like really need more fine tuning on this particular topic. And of course, I'll take them on. But I am trying to reach the masses and hopefully out of that, if only a few people get the message and those few people share and they share and they share, then I've accomplished what I set out to accomplish. You know what I mean? Use the gift wisely. Someone walked up to me not too long ago and they said, remember to use your gift wisely. And I said, I won't forget that.
All right, bet. So talking about that, what is your gift and why you, right? A lot of people are coaches, a lot of people do personal development, a lot of people do speaking. What is your gift and how does that separate you from the rest of the millions of people out here that do similar things that you do?
I love that question because, until maybe 20 some years ago, I didn't even know what a gift was, right?
Mm.
Like you do things and it just becomes natural and organic. And, people are always speaking into my ear. You should do this, you should do that. And I was listening, but I wasn't really listening. So let me explain. Um, I can, I get along with probably everyone that I meet. Like I love people. Maybe I'm a people pleaser. I can walk into the room and I won't be a stranger after a few minutes because I love people. I mean, I just generally love people. And I found myself always wanting to help people, whether they ask for my help or not. Now, your question is, why do I think uh, I'm a good speaker? Because I care. It's not about the money for me. It's about the process. When a student or someone that I've helped says, Coach Sam did this for me, or I was able to do this because that's enough affirmation and enough for me. Now, do I enjoy doing it and getting paid? Absolutely. So I don't do this um, just because. I think I talk in my sleep. I honestly believe that I'm going to start recording myself. I just have so much that I want to give to people, that I enjoy people. I want to see people successful. And so I just plan to do this for the rest of my life. And so if I can have an impact on someone, you come into my space, I'm going to change the trajectory. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. You're going to be different. I'm going to be different, but you're going to be different as well. And so for me, it's just totally natural. It's organic. For a long time, I did not recognize it. Um, I was just doing it, and as I say, people are speaking to my ear, but more importantly, I just pray to God and say, "Is that my gift? Is that really what you want me to do?" Um, I can sing, but I'm not a great singer. I don't want to be a pastor because I don't read my Bible regularly. So, like, what is it that I can do to leave an impact? And so he's just been speaking it into existence for me, and I'm real intentional about doing it. Put me in the room, and I'm going to be intentional about doing it. Unless you ask me to leave or you ask me to stay, we're gonna figure that out. But it's natural for me.
So this podcast and this platform is more so designed for business owners, entrepreneurs, those type of things. Speak about the business of public speaking. How do you build that business,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the corporate side? Um, what does that look like? Kind of building that business, building your profile, and how you can keep that going. And then what does that look like for you moving into 2026?
I love that. I love that question. So you have to put reps in, right? You have to get in front of people. You have to network. For me, being around for a long time, I'm not old, but having established relationships in other business. Let's use that example. People already know you, so they know you, they trust you, they want to do business with you. You still have to demonstrate that you pivoted into another field, right? Like when I decided and I told people, hey, I'm going to be doing this, professionally, and I'm going to do this full time, and I'm leaving real estate, doing it, pivoting and doing different directions. There was never ever anyone that said, "Well, I know you can't do it," but they have to see it and believe it. Like for corporations and stuff, yeah, sometimes it can be very difficult. Um, but it's who do you know, who's seen you, who's referred you, do you have a sizzle tape, do you have a demo tape, what can you present? This is the season for me where I get new engagements, meet people or people I don't even know, put in the application proposals for different things. And one of the things that I do is if I do send them a demo tape, I follow with a personal phone call and just try to get into the room and not be a stranger, right? Because yeah, there are a lot of other speakers they could pick from, and you just keep trying, and ultimately, what I find is that you can be an amazing speaker, but if you do a conference one year, they want someone else's message, right? So if I'm just the batter up, I'm gonna stay in the cage until that speaker from last year left, and then I'm ready to get up because I have a different message, and they're looking for a different message. So yeah, I have to continue to pound the pavement, but just do a good job. As I say, I'm going to do this anyway, and of course, I'm going to monetize it. I love doing it. And so I believe when you love doing something, you find a way to become successful. You find a way to make it work for you. You know what I mean? So, but there are definitely no handouts. You always have to continue to put the reps in, continue to prove yourself, continue to improve yourself, right? And so, and then guess what? I'm personal development helping myself along the way. I love it, man. For
All
sure.
right, so I have a question for you. Speak to Benz. I'm gonna put him on the spot because you're talking about networking. To me, the most important part of leadership is your influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Benz, whether he knows it or not, is an extremely influential person. He, like you said, affects the room that he's in, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not a networker though, right? So when we're in spaces together, I'm his wingman. I gotta like inspire
Mhm.
him to have connections with other people in the room. Wouldn't say he's an introvert, but for those people who aren't natural communicators, networkers, but have the gift of influence
Mhm.
and speaking, what advice would you give them to become better networkers, get recognized for some of those gifts so that you can use it for, either public speaking or just to
Mhm.
be influential?
That's a very interesting thing because honestly, I'm actually when I am not speaking to people or I'm not engaged in a session, I'm an introvert as well, Ben. I really am. People would not suspect that. And what I found is, and this will help you, is that you'd be surprised actors and singers and stuff, when they come off the stage, they're a totally different person. It's a performance, Ben. So you have to put your performance hat on. Now you have to maybe struggle a little bit more, but you have to put it on. So let's just give you a quick example. There's a networking event, and although you really don't like people, say, well, I'm going to go for 15 minutes. I'm going to give a 15 business card. Hello, how you doing? I'm Ben, blah, blah, blah. This is my thing. And then leave, right? And then take your uniform off, take your mask off, and go back to be who you are. I have to sometimes force myself to do video, right? Because I'm a person that loves to meet people one on one. And so with Paul the Connector, who I met through Nate, he wants me to do more video. That's not normally my niche. So I'm in the same boat. We're just we're in the same boat, but we're just going down the river differently. So I would encourage you to fight the urge not to meet people. Just gradually work up to it. Hey, I'm going to do one event this week, one event the next week. Go there with a purpose, serve that purpose, and leave. And then you will start to see the results because honestly, you probably maybe don't want to be around a crowd of people, right? But you have influence and you're not the only person. But remember, this is just a small part of your life. Entertainers come off the stage, and I know some entertainers, I'm like, they are so different. People would not know that they got the crowd going and they just want to hurt get a limo and leave. They don't want to talk to nobody. And it's nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's just natural for people. So put on your actor's cap for the moment, do what you have to do to promote your business. And then over time, if you start to enjoy it, you improve on it. If you don't enjoy it, you're still winning because you control the narrative of that. You know what I'm saying? That is as was work for me. Find some quiet space, but we still have to do the work. It's very hard for people to find you and to know you if you're a leader and you don't speak, or if you have a particular skill and they've never heard a word come out of your mouth. Referrals go a long way, but ultimately we have to meet the people where they are. You meet them where they are, and then you leave them where they are. Right? Go back to your quietness or your quiet space. And as I say, personally, I do that, and I know other people that are extremely successful to do that. They're not always that way. So I applaud you for knowing that that's something you want to do, and obviously, I could give you some tools to do that, and I'd be happy to give those to you. But you gradually work up to it. Yeah.
No, I was
Go
just gonna
ahead,
say,
Ben. I'm
Sam, I'm
sorry.
gonna give you an Oscar because you're a good actor. Because I would have never guessed you were an introvert. The way you would work in the room when I first met you, I
Yeah,
was just like,
I
oh
am.
yeah, that dude is somebody. You know what I'm saying? So
I appreciate it.
whatever it was, you putting in the reps to get to
Hmm.
where you at, to where you
Yeah.
can do that naturally. Salute to you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate it. As I was telling you, I look forward to my vacations. I look forward to my time I get to spend with my kids, my grandkids. My lady, whatever. Like I understand. I could separate the two. I've always been able to separate, business from pleasure and this and that. But in this particular space, it is more challenging. Let me just be honest, because people expect you to be this way all the time, and I am not this way all the time, ladies and gentlemen. I get to hang out with Nate and Ben. They'll know, but I am just like someone goes to their job as I don't know, police officer, whatever. They're not the same at home, and so just know that that's just part of who we are. But I definitely appreciate the compliment. I love what I do, so I have to enjoy the moment, enjoy the craft, but at the same time, have that the other balance in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't be this way all the time at any level, I believe. So yeah, man, we will. There are other small little touches that you could do. Little tips that I can give you, but ultimately, because you are, have influence, people want to be around you. Give them a little bit of you. Don't give them all of you. Just give them as much as you're willing to give right now. And if you want to give more, you can give more. But just know that there's still always that place that you could just step off and just kind of relax and be quiet and then recharge, get back into the game, recharge, get back into the game, take a little time off. Trust me, it'll work.
I like that. Like I said, I appreciate the advice. I'll definitely take heed to it. If there's somebody out there who also like the advice you given, and had a group or a youth group or something, want to get in contact with you, what's going to be the best way for them to do that, and how could they, get more information from you?
I appreciate that show. So I'm on Instagram, Sam Partman Speaks. I'm on LinkedIn, Sam Partman Speaks. I have a YouTube channel that I'm getting ready to really kind of push a little bit more. I was blessed to have a upcoming collaboration, if I may say. So Paul is definitely a connector. Let me just say that, right? Now, Paul was at an event that I first met him at, and he was at a table talking to this young brother. And the young brother was doing credit repair and a couple of other things. And so when I was speaking to him, and I was the host of the event. And so, Paul came up to me, we talked, and then I saw Paul talking to this young man. And so with him, I said, well, love what you're doing. He's a young brother like you all. And I said, it's about 6, 7 months ago. I said, we're gonna definitely do some collaboration. So we are launching more media stuff. He's much more media savvy than me, right? But you will find me on, some TikTok now.
Okay.
You'll find me on, of course, my YouTube channel, Instagram. Don't do Facebook a lot, and then LinkedIn. And so any of those particular channels, and then of course my website, sampartmanspeaks.com, which is being revamped, but you're able to still reach me. You can hit the information button, send your requests or your concerns or your question, and I'll respond immediately. Yeah.
Is that Dre Payton you were talking about, the gentleman just now?
Dre Payton, yeah, stay sharp, yeah. And this young brother is actually he's really in line with what you all doing. And you may have checked out his page. He and I did some on TikTok today.
Connected.
He's an amazing young brother. I love to see you young brothers, man, that are totally aware of what's going on, right? Like I want to say that I was ahead of the curve. I went to college, I got out, I wanted to be an entrepreneur from day one. It was never ever a doubt in my mind. And I don't see the same in the generation that I want to see. Like I thought we should progress to that. And I don't want this to be an outlier, right? I am excited about, I told you, Nate, when I first met you, I'm excited about what you guys are doing because you're all supposed to be carrying the torch to the next generation and generation after that. And so empowering our people, empowering our youth, people that look like us, talk like us, speak like us, we have to start there. And you guys are uh, really, really are an example of the way it's supposed to be, and keep your voice out there for the other brothers and sisters that will come along. They just have not heard anyone speak about it. And the generation seems to have been getting lost. And so, like a young man like Dre, that is real adamant about it, stays on it, does his work. He said he stays in the lab. I told him, man, I could do more push-ups than you, but I can't beat you on the 40. I'm telling you, you're on the grind. You know what I'm saying? So like, those are opportunities where like, yeah, you all are filling a space that has been void for a very long time, gentlemen. So I applaud you.
Yeah, I mean that was the original inception of the podcast was to talk to people in different sectors and give people like step by step. All right, how did you become a real estate agent? How did you get into
Mhm.
banking? How did you become financial? How did you do like all that? And then we quickly realized that the information wasn't the issue. us sitting here giving step by step. You can go to Chat GPT, you can go to AI, you can go to Google and Google exactly the steps you
Sure,
need
sure.
to do whatever.
Hmm.
But it was the mindset. So now, like, we've pivoted in the conversations that we had. Actually, I don't even know if we've pivoted. We used to try to focus on the X's and O's, but now it's more about the mindset. We know that representation matters, having people in different spaces talk about these things, right?
Hmm.
I think, contrary to what you just said, I think more kids from this generation are entrepreneurial minded that want to be entrepreneurs. Like I hadn't even heard the term entrepreneur when I
Hmm.
graduated high school. Didn't know what that was.
Right,
I knew
right.
what business people were, but the actual
Of course.
word entrepreneur I
Yeah.
didn't hear until I was in the military. But I think having in-depth, honest conversations about what entrepreneurship is, the
Hmm.
grind of it, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Just because you go and file an LLC and say and establish a job, you're not an entrepreneur yet. You got a business,
That's a
but you're
work.
not an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
sharing stories like this, having people like you on on the platform to share your story and give you tangible things to change that mindset, so then you can have a better understanding of what you're getting into. I
Mhm.
think is important as well.
Yeah. You're right. You know what I think has happened is that kids are now forced to, or young adults are now forced to become entrepreneurs. You go to college, you get a degree, the opportunities are not there anymore for
Yep.
anyone,
Yep.
and so, now it's just come full circle. Hey, I cannot take this to this company or that company. I have to create my own company. And so, yeah, I've actually coached people in business strategy, business development, and say, you have an amazing idea. How do you put it on paper? You have the mindset. It finally clicked for you to, like, I can't get a job. I have to do some coding. I have to do something. And so, but there's a little bit more to it. Yeah, you have the creativeness, but now what about the strategy and the actual blueprint? And I've been through it. I've had some successful business, some successful businesses, and I never quit. Like, it is in my DNA. And so, like the brother Dre that we were talking about, same thing. He is just really more about, Sam, I have these great ideas, and it's just what you just said, Nate. Sometimes they don't get it. And I said, well, we will map it out for them. Now they have to want to do it. But if we lay the blueprint out and put it on the table, ultimately they're going to have to pick it up if that's what they want to do. So we will continue to empower them and continue to be intentional. And there's going to come a season when you're going to pick that book up and you're going to actually read it and start applying when life start lifing. You know what I mean?
You gotta step into that season when it comes your way. I guess the best way to say that.
Sure, sure.
Be prepared. Be prepared for it when it presents itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's the key to. That's what I like to tell my kids and everything is you never know when opportunity is going to be there,
Hmm.
but you want to kind of be prepared for it when it does come to you.
Yeah. So this is what I want to challenge you to do, and I know you'll take me up on the challenges. Every room that you go to moving forward, if it's only 15, 20 minutes, learn something about the other person. Don't tell them what you do. Ask them what they do. And here's why. You always learn a little bit about everything that you encounter. I still preach this to my sons today, right? And I say, I won't say be a spy in the room, but be around the conversations, right? People want to talk more about what they're doing than what you're doing, right? And so it empowers you because then, Ben, you can either hand them your card or keep your card in your pocket, depending on the conversation. Because that may not be an area that you want to do business, or not that they're bad, but if you're doing all the talking and they say, I work the room, well, I work the room to engage them in a conversation, become a better listener, then talker, and just kind of see where they're going, right? It never fails. And what that does is, I tell my sons, I say, it helps you decide which direction you want to go or the direction you don't want to go. Because
Mhm.
now you've gathered some intel, you've gathered some information. Now you can make a decision if you want to go right, left, or just kind of stay neutral and get more information. So I'm gonna challenge you, big brother, young brother, my new brother, just to continue to do that. And then you're gonna find your space. It's not gonna take you from who you are and where you are. It's just gonna become more natural to you when you start doing that. And I can tell now you're an amazing listener. and listen for the opportunities that make sense for you.
I can appreciate that. I can definitely
Absolutely.
appreciate that. I got my notes here in my mind. I'm putting to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes full circle. We just talk about opportunities, talking about backup quarterbacks. When your opportunity, when that starting quarterback goes down and gets injured, it's time for you to step into the spotlight. You got to be ready to do that. And
Yeah.
Sam, you were speaking to as far as like networking and listening. Um, the radio station that everybody's always tuned to, and I learned this years ago with networking, is WIIFM. What's in it for me? Right. And people are always working rooms and trying to figure out what the angle is. But the only reason you can find out what people want for themselves is to listen to them. So
Yeah.
you engage in the conversation. You know, the quality of the answer that you get is predicated on the question, the quality of the question. So you ask the right questions, people are going to get, give you all kind of information, and then you can go from there. So I've always learned from just being a super shy kid, super introverted as a kid, and being a good listener and just watching and observing. The best networkers are the best listeners, right?
Yeah.
You can try to talk and impress people with all these words, but when you listen to people, you can know what connection you need to make with someone else in the room, what they might have that you have, or vice versa. So, um, salute, Sam. Salute. Appreciate you
No,
dropping
no, no.
those nuggets.
Leaders ask great questions, but I remember every time you go to the doctor, who does the most talking, the doctor or the patient? The patient,
Mm,
because the
mm.
doctor's saying they just listen intently. Tell me what ails you, Mr. Ben, or tell me what ails you, Mr. Nate. And they're nodding, and well, was the last time you got some sleep? Like they asking all these great questions, and you're doing all the talking. And then what does he or she do? They then diagnose and write a script. It's no different. I used to be more of a talker, but when I really embrace more being a leadership. So when I work the room, I'm working the room to engage in people. But back to what you just said, let them tell their story. They don't really care about your story. It is just a natural thing that we want to promote whatever it is we're doing or who we are. You let them have that space, right? And then once again, you can then decide if that's a space or area that you want to embrace it. But once you let them tell their story, they're more willing to listen to your story. Try it. Try it. Ask, I don't know if you guys are married, but ask the young ladies when you go out. Ask her a few questions. She'll tell you everything you need to know and some things you don't want to know. And I mean that respectfully to my ladies and my friends out there that are ladies. I just think that as men and as African American gentlemen, that we owe it to ourselves to become better listeners, and then by being a better listener, become a better leader and a better problem solver. Because the answer is right there in front of you now.
Sure, man. It's been a super dope, impactful conversation. Talk about promoting yourself. You've already told everybody where they can find you. As we wrap this up, what are the projects that you got working on right now that are can benefit the community? What you got on the horizon?
All right,
We go ahead.
so Dre and I stay sharp. We're doing a collaboration, and it's really just going to be me really speaking about the real estate industry, my experience, and how sometimes people have ideas, have creative ideas, they want to get in real estate or any business, they don't understand the funding, right? And that's just very important. I can remember times where I could say, I want a gas station, I want this, but I have the idea, but don't know where to find the money, right? Um, you're not gonna find it at the casino or hitting the lottery. Let me just say that, ladies and gentlemen. But I believe that we all have something that we want to do or we want to try. So that's one project that I'm working on. I'm also working on a podcast with a good friend of mine that I grew up with, a young lady. She's somewhat of I call a New York socialite. She's from Maryland, but she lives in New York and does some stuff with a couple of Harlem magazines and stuff. And she approached me one day and said that, we've always just been really amazing friends since high school. And we want to talk about real healthy relationships, right? Like real healthy relationships with successful African American people, right? Like some of the topics would be, you know, if you both are successful, who should pay for this and who should pay for that, right? like really dig into helping our community have better relationships. So that's a podcast that I'm starting. I'm a big fan of some people doing that. I like to keep it very professional, very classy, and look at it from two perspectives, right? A woman's perspective and a man's perspective. We're not trying to be clinical scientists. What we're trying to do is sometimes help people find the answer for themselves by hearing both sides of it, not being judgmental, but also sharing our stories and how we were able to get over that. So I'm extremely excited about that. And then finally, really just finding more people to empower more companies, more nonprofits, more corporations, more schools. Just having a bigger impact. I've really, 2025 was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot of things about myself. Um, Take some time to really listen and analyze, and I'm just like chomping at the bit to go just get in front of people and just leave them in a better space than where I met them at. You know what I'm saying? That's really what excites me. I mean, I'm always just like, and I don't want you to mention my name. I don't need the accolades. I just want you to win. Just win, right? Because it's the only opportunity you can get. So yeah, that's what's planned for me 2026. Just getting out there and just doing more things and just empowering and impacting more people, man.
Brother Sam, I wish you all the luck, man, and success with that. I can tell you're passionate about that. Um, you give me personally a couple good pointers tonight I'm gonna move forward with. So you already started that mission tonight, and I appreciate you, and I know you're gonna do a great job with others moving forward in 2026, my brother.
I appreciate it, man, and I'm gonna tap back in with you, brother. Make no mistake about it. Uh, I feel like you're a student. Like I gave you an assignment.
Oh yes.
I know you could complete it at your leisure, but I appreciate you saying that. Of course, again, Nate, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully, we'll get together soon. I know that Paul is always having some events, and so pretty sure you're on his email list, and I hope both you guys are. And so I look forward to meeting up with you guys. And when we meet up, we'll let people know that we're real people. We'll do a quick shout out to everyone, maybe on Instagram or TikTok. And man, I want you guys to continue doing what you're doing. The first moment that I met Nate, and I told him, and I'll tell you, Ben, is don't stop what you're doing. There is an impact being made by what you guys are doing. I'm following you. I'm encouraging you, and I'm expecting you guys to continue to bless other people, man.
I
Amen.
appreciate that.
100%. Well, yeah, Sam, appreciate you. And shoot, I just seen something Paul sent me earlier, some event they got going on Tuesday. Like Paul stays outside. I'm more of a homebody, but
Mhm.
Paul stays outside, truly connecting. So, again, Sam, appreciate you for stopping by, dropping gems, and just being a blessing to this platform. Benz, I appreciate you as always, brother. Love you. And me and Benz are just 2 of 12 black men, part of the Extraordinary Investment Group, who are committed to enhancing the lives of the communities we serve through education and smart financial strategies. And I believe, Sam has definitely poured into that. So you are now family, Sam. Anything you need of us, we got it, and vice versa. Again, for all y'all spending time with us for the last hour or so, appreciate y'all for stopping by. And we will holler at y'all on the next episode.
Don't
All
be
right.
strangers, man. Come plug in with these young brothers. They doing some powerful things, and you want to be part of that mission. You don't want to be left out. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you again, guys. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.